BagelLovers.net with the iconic nerdcore hip hop pioneers MC Lars and Schaffer the Darklord. How are
What
you
up,
two?
y'all?
Chad, remember when we were in Orlando and your friend staged the elaborate photo shoot on the stage for your
Yeah.
magazine?
Yeah, that was pretty dope. That was
That was
fun.
tight.
That was
Wait, is that at the Geek Easy?
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah. We've been to that venue like I don't know. You guys always play there. It's always a great time. But to kick things off, define the art of nerdcore hip hop in your own words.
Oof. I'll let Mark take that one.
Oh man. Um I feel historically it has been hip hop that leans heavily onto an adoration of pop culture, lots of references, lots of so-called nerd stuff, video games, movie franchises, television series, anime, etc. It's gotten a lot broader over the years because I feel at this point everybody's already used all of the material that they could have for over like 20 years. So now it's like if you feel particularly nerdy or pop culture passionate about any particular thing and you make hip hop about it, it qualifies. I guess, and also being nearsighted helps.
Well, you two have been doing it for over 20 years now, which is crazy to even think about. But it's just great to see you, Mega Ran, MC Fernalot, MC Chris, uh, all everybody just in that scene still dropping on tracks to this day. And for the fans just discovering your music, what's the backstory behind MC Lars and Schaffer the Dark Lord first crossing paths musically and becoming lifelong friends?
I'll take that one. So nerdcore, there was that in 1964 there was that obscenity case, and the United Supreme Court was trying to figure out what was obscene, and they said, I know what's obscene. I know when I see it. I know it's pornographic when I see it. I know what nerdcore is when I hear it. Sometimes you can't describe it, but if you hear it, and I heard this song from Schaffer the Darklord on some blog about him cloning himself and celebrating his essence in the style of Walt Whitman. And it was like very, very energetic and tight and dope. This was like summer of 2006. I just moved to Brooklyn from California. And it turned out Schaffer had heard about me. He'd read some article about me. And we did a show together in Boston because for some reason we thought Schaffer lived in Boston. So Frontalot and I invited him to open for us. And he got to the venue open early, helped us load in. And then we're like, man, how long you lived in Boston? And Schaffer, you're like, I don't. I came up here because you invited me. And I was like, this guy is so dope. He'll open for us. He'll drive to another city. He'll help us load in. I had a lot of respect for him, and it's a mess.
That story all tracks. That is how it happened.
Right on.
And here we are.
Let's see here. Which piece of literature, any collection of a piece of work do you two hold the most sacred in your own personal lives?
Ooh,
wow.
Ooh. MS, what do you think?
Wow. It's pretty hard. I might actually have to say, because you made a Walt Whitman joke a minute ago, I might have to say As I Lay Dying. I've always loved that book.
See, it's crazy. I've never actually read the book. I know the band As I Lay Dying, but it's so weird that I've never actually read it. So,
I've never heard the band As I Lay Dying. So together we have a full fandom.
That's Faulkner, right?
I think that's Walt Whitman.
That's what's up. I haven't read it.
MC Lars hasn't read a certain book.
But it's ironic. This is ironic. My in-laws, I was in their basement, because I do recording down there, and that's the book I found out of a stack of books that I was like, oh, I haven't read this. And I put it in my backpack to read on this next trip I'm taking. That's so weird you mentioned that, Schaffer. That's cosmic. That's odd. Of all the books I have in my backpack currently, that's the book I currently have. I don't bring books everywhere.
What? Well, you started this because you referenced Walt Whitman. So you set this up. So this really speaks to the kind of cosmic artistic connection we have had for 135 years now.
Chad, you know how I met you? You know where I met you? I met you through Scotty at the ICP show at the GamerCon that Jump Steady put together in Denver.
Yeah,
that's where I met you in person.
The Dark Carnival Con, yes. The second one that went down in Denver. Yeah, because we did the interview online, and then we met at the at the show, and like it was just you put on a great set. Max Savage put on a great set. It was just a great time. It's just unfortunate that the convention itself was canceled because of some behind the scene underground beef, which had nothing to do with anything, and it just destroyed the whole event.
And then I lost the earplug. You helped me find it. Remember in the
Yes, yeah,
in the mosh pit. That was nice of you.
yeah, it's funny.
But what happened was, well, Mark and I opened for Twisted like a few months, like a year ago, 2 years ago, right? And
Right.
Yeah.
and Mark was kind of you'd never heard Blaze live, but I remember you saw Blaze, you're like, oh, I get it. This is kind of tight. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I remember
I was blown away. I thought Blaze was dope. That show was fun. And then you were, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you were such a troll on stage that night.
Well,
well, I was going on and on. I was giving shout outs to I was doing long rants about like shout outs to my favorite stuff that Twisted had put out, but a lot of that was stuff that Psychopathic still owns the masters to or whatever. But I do like their new stuff. But I was like giving shout outs to the old school stuff. But I don't know if Jamie and Paul heard me because I was trying to like show I was a fan, but also, I'm a fan of the new stuff, it's tight. I like I really think MNE is doing cool stuff. What do you think of the fact that Gmo Ski's back on the label?
hey, I'm cool with it, man. I mean, him and I have some weird history because he dropped that diss on Violent J, and then it was like we hung out a few times at the conventions. I mean, I occasionally, as I do, smoke marijuana. I'll be honest, and he handed me a blunt, and we just had conversation in Detroit, and like he puts out great music, but like when that whole situation happened, he dropped that diss on Violent J, it like caused some stir in the underground, and then like he departed M&E. I'm not saying that was the reason, but it was like a weird like limbo thing that happened when he departed M&E. Now he's back, but everybody embraced it, who are all down with Magic Ninja. Like they're cool with it. So it was like it caused some division to happen, but I'm fine with it. I have no beef against him. We just had some, as I said, when he dropped that diss, and then you know how trolls are online. They'll comment anything they want, anything they see on the internet, even if it has nothing to do with them personally. And then for some reason the website gets the backlash, but it's like, yo, we can't control who just comments. I mean, anybody can comment anything on Facebook. You know, so
I mean, what like this is the talk of the town, and I know you're trying to interview us about our stuff, but like when Violent J said he doesn't mess with Fago lovers on that interview, was he referring to MNE stuff, or is he just talking about he doesn't follow the Juggalo news as much as he used to? Can you comment? Is that inappropriate?
It could be both, to be honest. I know there's some bad blood in between that with everybody going to Magic Ninja and Twisted leaving and all that, and then everything else in between. But it's crazy because like Twisted just did their Green Book show, and they kept Violent J and Shaggy and Esham's verse on the screen, and even put them in a positive light. And this just happened in Detroit, like how this past Halloween weekend. And then like, and it did sting a little when Violent J says he doesn't fuck with Fagelovs no more, but like Scotty D, he was tough about it. So we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. We're not gonna just stick in one lane. We're gonna cover all different forms of underground music, and that's what we're gonna keep doing. So
I remember at the gathering, Scotty D won in the auction. He won Jump Steady's Malenko platinum plaque, and I was like, "That's tight as heck, man." He's such a fan. He's such a part of the community, and the whole Fago lovers like click, like everything you guys do for the Juggalo and beyond is just really important. So it's just interesting because like if we, personally, if I had to pick a side, I'm obviously going to pick Psychopathic as like who I would support. But I also think MNE is doing cool stuff, and it's not all or nothing. And so it's like, it doesn't have to be so polarizing. And it's interesting seeing the communities light up when he said that. And he'll probably, maybe he just meant he doesn't follow Juggalo news because he doesn't want it to influence his art. That's the Violent J maybe said. I don't know.
Well, it was, yeah. I mean, to get back on topic with you guys, but I'll say one last thing. I'm a fan of both sides, and I'll always be a fan of both sides. I'm not going to pick sides because I'm a lover of all forms of music. Like I'm the type of person who could be bumping, MC Chris, and next thing you know, I'm listening to the Beatles, or I'm listening to some really dark black metal from Norway or something. I don't know. I'm just all over the place, dude.
What is it? What is it? Dirtcore is like a genre?
It's a genre and it's a record label at the same time.
Is it your label?
No, it's Crossworm's label in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He is a producer, but he also makes this style of like industrial hip hop that has like, weird electronic elements and sometimes it's screaming vocals and clean singing. But then there's like other artists that have, are genre defying that have been part of deathcore music, and they make any style of genre they feel like. They could be hip hop, punk, metal, all rolled into one with industrial sounds. And
Yo, you know what's really tight is that what is that Halloween 365? That thing on Magic Ninja.
yeah, yeah.
Halloween 365. Ah,
Oh
one of
yeah,
those
that's
guys.
all the horror, and that's another band that does a lot of different styles of music. They're one minute they're being like screamo, then they're being like pop punk, and then they're throwing in like gangster rhymes and stuff. You know what I mean? But
Last
so
question. Last question. Wait, last question for you, Chad, and then I'm done. And then I won't ask any more questions in my life.
no,
You
it's
like
okay.
you like the Chainsmoker LP or Fatso more when it comes to the Twisted
Fat
Souls?
so more because well, no, there's no offense to Monoxide. Monoxide spits fire, but
But
I felt like the Fats album was more relatable lyric wise because there's just stuff where Jamie's like talking about his his father dying in front of him and he
Tear
can't
Jerker,
and he can't
that
do
song.
anything about it. And then there's that track called Pledge Allegiance
Mm.
where he's talking about the underground and just how the underground should unite and just kick ass and just not sell out and shit. I don't know. It was like well then I don't know. It was a more solid album. Just I don't know. To me, that's my opinion. Just because I felt like there was no filler tracks. Every track you can bump all the way through, and it's very rare to find albums anytime they can play all the way through.
Do you
But
like the Earth 2 version or the OG one more? Probably the
Earth,
OG.
the OG, but the Earth 2 has some pretty cool elements in like Violent J's verse on This Bitch is pretty funny. Prozac, there's some cool verse, and there's some cool production wise. But yeah, overall the original, just because it just seems more, organic, I guess, if that's
I
the
mean,
word.
they keep on remix with Boondocks dope. The Boombox remix, I mean, is dope. Keep on
I agree. I agree.
with
Now,
RLC. Sorry about that.
no, you're good. I know you're always down with all this underground stuff too. So it's cool that you're
Yo,
in.
Juggalo ain't a hobby. We ain't
Agreed.
weak and shoddy. Juggalo ain't a hobby. Shout out to
Now,
dope.
this is a
Okay.
question for both you and Schaffer. If you could choose a fictional school to visit for a weekend, which book or film would it be and why, and the name of the school?
A, 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 a school to visit for a week, a fictional school to visit for a weekend?
Yeah, like Wayside School or something
That's a
weird.
great question. I would choose the Jedi Temple on Coruscant during the Old Republic.
Okay, there
Before
we go.
before
That makes sense.
before everything went south. What an idyllic time to be alive. Education was being supported by the government. Oh, it was incredible. And then it would have just been fun to just watch people train. So that's my pick.
And what about you, Lars? I know you
I would
guys
say that the Enfield Tennis Academy from Infinite Jest, where all this stuff went down. That's from one of my favorite books.
makes sense. You guys pick Star Wars. I get it. Star Wars has great fictional content, and like not to get on the Star Wars tangent, but I feel that Disney should never like said the books weren't canon anymore because George Lucas commissioned that, and it just screwed up a lot of things.
Well, I mean, luckily, this narrative device of the multiverse that like only ever meant anything to comic book nerds for decades suddenly is now this mainstream concept because there've been these huge hit films that have been so successful making multiverse things. So I don't feel like the Disney like cherry picking things that they wanted or not in the canon like nullifies their validity. It's just multiverse stuff.
No, I agree. And it's just I really would like to see Shadow of the Empire be canon again because it was like a big deal when it came out. It was a book that had its own soundtrack, a symphony soundtrack of that.
It had a line of action figures. I remember the bounty hunter Chewbacca with the crew cut.
Right, and then it had the video game itself, which was on PC and the Nintendo 64, and it was a solid hit. But yeah, back on topic because we're talking about all kinds of things here. But it's okay. We'll just call this, conversation between MC Lars and Schaffer the Darklord. So as a child, which specific animated scene scared you during a movie theater screening? Like anything you saw, like animated wise, that made you jump in your seat.
I don't know about being scared, but I am old enough that I have a memory of the death of Bambi's mom in Bambi.
Oh shit!
There was
Yeah,
I grew up in this little tiny town, and when I was a kid, they would get reels of like old films, and they would show on Saturdays for like a quarter or something, and like kids could go down and watch them. And that's how I saw like Planet of the Apes movies and a bunch of like classic animated Disney. And kids would just go. It didn't even matter what the movies was. We'd just go down there and be a bunch of jackass kids, throw popcorn at each other, and talk over the movie. But I remember I went to see Bambi and was like, "Oh, Bambi, this is some kids nonsense." And I remember being really upset by the death of Bambi's mom, which is a cliche response. I loved it.
We referenced that in our song, don't we? Rated G for Trauma.
There was a crowdsourced list of as many traumatic things that people remember seeing in Disney films when they were young, like specific moments. And I believe the first one in the song is Bambi's mom dying, because everybody remembers that.
yeah,
But nobody remembers when it happened.
yeah, it's a deep one, man. What about Lars? Is there a specific animated scene that may have scared you during a movie theater screening when you were young?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and like when Judge Doom's eyes pop out, he goes, "Eddie, I killed your brother, and I talk just like this." That's like so terrifying. Still, it's so perfectly done, and that was so scary. I was like 5 when I spent my whole life trying to recapture the magic of that movie. It's affected me so much, but that was scary.
Right, or when he's
Yeah.
dipping his shoe into the
Yeah.
acid.
It's
Yeah.
pretty brutal.
So mean. So mean. What about you, Chad?
Well, okay. Well, that's a good question to ask me. I- I'd have to say, let's see, let's think about it here really quick. Childhood movie that I saw in theater. Okay, Beauty and the Beast, man. The very opening when it shows her father trapped in the carriage and it's going to the Beast's house. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that scene was scary as hell, dude, as a young kid. Because I saw it when I was like 4 years old. I must have been like 3 or 4, somewhere around that age. Because it was a brand new movie. I know that it's like one of this that whole scene just sticks out to me because it was like, the picture's all dark and then uh just that carriage and like like everything alive isn't alive in the Beast castle. So like, is the carriage living too? That's like taking him away. It's like, I don't know. It's like a very dark scene. So I have to go with that one. When the carriage is taken away, Belle's father.
That's sad. That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So now, since we're talking about this scary Disney stuff, can we dive into the title of the 999 album and how the album is a symbolic to your own youth?
Ooh, well, here's the background of that real quick. Right now I'm filming this live at the Haunted Mansion, and they have this thing when you go in, it says, there are 999 ghosts here waiting to make you the number 1,000 or something. And Schaffer and I, right before COVID, we did that tour where you were, Chad, in Orlando. And that was like one of my last IRL memories of doing something in public, like with a friend. And so that stuck out for me because Schaffer, you'd never been on the Haunted Mansion ride.
I'd never been to a Disney park before. I was already in my 40s and I'd never been to a Disney park. So that was a big day for me.
It stuck out. And yeah, it was like a really special time. So I was thinking about that ride. And so 999 is a reference to that. And Schaffer and I are kind of like, Schaffer's got more dark flavor and I kind of come with like the more joyfulness. So if you flip 999 over, it's like 666. What, like, it wasn't like Freddie the Fred Joker's card that was like 665 or something.
Right. Yeah, you're right. The from the
Fearless
second
Fred Fury.
Yeah, Fearless Fred
second-
Fury and flip
So
the
and
rat.
Flip the Rat.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was the thing, like an iteration of 666. That was it, flipping it. And if you see our art is like, we flipped our names upside down on like this first single. So it's like upside down, everything. That's the idea. But anything else, Schaffer, I forgot to say?
No, I think you nailed it, and I feel like the idea for this record came from that visit to Disneyland, because we are to Disney World, because we went there, we had a great time. You know, we could only do a few rides in a day, and you insisted we go on Haunted Mansion, and I was blown away. So, and I said to me, "Hey, we should do a concept album together about the Haunted Mansion." And at some point, like maybe a couple years after that, you'd had it broken down into like tracks of like, these are going to be all songs about specific elements of the Haunted Mansion. And at some point, I think you realized or decided that that might be a little too specific to stretch across a full album. And so we just turned the focus to just all of the dark or occult elements in the Disney universe, which is great. But we still started with our Haunted Mansion song, which is a banger. Just a banger.
Oh yeah, it's a catchy banger, dude. It's like, it reminds me, it got
Thanks.
like a techno 1980s flavor to it or something. I don't know how it's, but like, you know, those over the top like 80 melodies that you would see in like those old school movies, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I felt it had a nice kind of synthy horror vibe to it.
right.
And then we did a song about the French Disney has a Phantom Manor, which is the haunted house in the French Disneyland, and it has a little different origin story. So we have a second song about that backstory and how it ties into Big Thunder Mountain, which is another ride we went on, I think, right, Shaper? The Big Thunder Mountain.
We did, in fact, go on Big Thunder Mountain, and then we went to a show and we had the audience chanting Big Thunder Mountain all night to share in the experience that they didn't have with us.
So the suspense was Mountain.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's what's up.
So, I mean, do you feel that the occult side of Disney is underrated? Because to me, my favorite like occult section of any Disney is Night on Bald Mountain with the big demon and all the skeletons and demons all dancing around and doing all weird stuff at night. And then when the sun comes up, they scatter from Fantasia. So, I mean, do you feel that the occult side of Disney should be more appreciated or is underrated?
Yeah, I think so. I had kind of cursory knowledge going into working on this project, but over the course of the summer, I watched so much. I got years worth of mileage out of my Disney Plus subscription by watching so many things and then rewatching them as we were writing these songs, that there's so many like really spooky, upsetting moments like lurking around the corner in like every Disney property. And that was a highlight, the one that you brought up, which is also referenced in our song about all the traumatic moments, and the song called Rated G for Trauma. There is a reference to Satan's demon orgy on A Night at Bald Mountain, because that is like, I'd remembered seeing that as a kid, but I didn't have real vivid memories of Fantasia. But going back and rewatching it, I legit had a moment like, they marketed this to children. This is terrifying.
Right, dude. Like, it's just I saw it at such a young age, because it's like the movie starts out with like, you know, Mickey Mouse as the wizard, and he's trying to stop the brooms from flooding the whole castle. And like, I mean, even that had its intensity, because you see Mickey with an axe trying to chop all the brooms down, and but the brooms are like kind of alive, so it's kind of like a mind fuck, because you're a little kid watching him slash through these brooms that are technically alive. And then it goes in the Night of Bald Mountain, and it's like, what the hell? You know?
Yeah, there is a wealth of dark, spooky, and supernatural things, all like scattered all across Disney. And I thought we were gonna. I kind of at one point in the early stages of this thought that we were gonna have to hunt for them more. And as it turned out, they just kept revealing themselves as I worked my way through the entire Disney Plus catalog.
Oh gosh, that would have took hours.
I did. I mean, I didn't, but I did have to watch some of them multiple times. I watched Peter Pan a couple of times. I watched Pinocchio a couple of times.
Technically, it's not a Disney movie, but Disney distributed, and that's The Brave Little Toaster.
That's a great one.
I've heard people. I crowdsourced to ask people what their most traumatic Disney products, and a lot of people named Brave Little Toast, but ended up. But I do like. I feel like I would like that movie because I like toast.
Yeah, it's a great movie though. In that scene with the air conditioner too, when he's yelling and then he explodes, is pretty intense. And then like just the whole scene where they're like inside that shop and all then the heroes are witnessing like all the little objects getting pulled apart and stuff by this guy that just likes to collect junk and make little junk pieces to resell. And it's a pretty good scene. But so yes, back into the 999 album. How did the creation process for 999 different from your own past material?
Well, I mean, I think we made this record really fast, and like I had a lot of the concepts. Well, we both had a lot of the concepts, and then Schaffer kind of like did a lot of the preliminary writing. But there were songs where like he wrote more, songs where I wrote more, and then we'd send long emails about the Disney lore, and like we'd talk, and we did it all remote. And yeah, but we had like a big spreadsheet with all our ideas, so it was like really efficient. Like I felt like we did this record quickly. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I've never done a fully collaborative album before, so that was a big difference for me. I've obviously collaborated with lots of people on tracks, both on my own albums and on theirs, and I've done a full album collaborating with a producer who's really like involved in the writing and recording process. But I've never collaborated with somebody else who was like writing the lyrical content of it, and so that was a very different experience, and it was great. I think it worked out really well because Lars and I have worked together so much. I feel outside of this record, I've probably done more collaborative tracks with Lars than anybody else I've worked with over the years, and probably spent the most hours touring with than anybody. I've probably played the most shows with. So we already had like a pretty established working relationship and rapport that I think really helped. But the way it really differed is by having somebody else, like having a second brain working on the ideas, which was especially welcoming. I especially welcomed, because the last album I did last year was an album that was all about isolation and being lost in a broken spaceship. So I didn't have any guests on it, so I did the whole thing alone, and I got really method about it, and I didn't leave my apartment for months, and I grew this giant like beard and kind of got really immersed in it. So this time to have somebody else to bounce ideas off of, and also somebody with the energy and enthusiasm of Lars, was very welcome.
You guys both are, energetic in your own unique ways. And I just like the fact that you, Mega Ran, and MC Fernalot and Lars, you guys all like just tour together and bounce off ideas together and create great songs together. I just wish more scenes were more united like that way, where you think bands are friends, but then they're really not friends. They're just touring together, but you guys actually hang out and explore each other's interests and introduce each other to whatever you're reading that day or whatever TV show you're into. You guys really get into it, and then you end up creating a whole album about it, like you are now. And why should fans of music in general be excited to listen to 999?
Ooh. Well, Chad, I'm glad you asked that. I think that we have some great guests. I think there's some cool themes, and I think that Schaffer and I both brought out something different in each of us that we couldn't have done on our own. So I think that's special. And it's a really, this record confronts, for me, the idea of what happens after we die. It asks that question, and it asks the question of like, sometimes some of the most profound insights we have on that question we have when we're kids.
Oh, I think the way that people will be drawn to this musically is, I think, even though it is kind of a very specific concept that ties the whole album together, I think we've done a pretty good job throughout most of it, in not making it just like Wikipedia raps. They're not just like, here's a list of things that happened in this movie, here's the story about this movie, because that movie already told you that story. Instead, we've like taken everything and like used it to interpret like other issues, facing one's mortality or dealing with addiction or whatever, the darker concepts that we brought to it. But I think we did a pretty good job of writing everything vaguely enough that if you know the source material that we're referencing, then it's full of Easter eggs, but it's not required. I think you can still listen to this album and still get something from all the songs and not feel left out, because it didn't lean too heavily on proper nouns, basically. It didn't rely too heavily on just naming characters and locations. It kept it vague enough. And then also I think people are going to enjoy it because it's very, very musically diverse. The instrumentals in it are all over the map. There's a lot of different styles that we get to play with.
Right, you can definitely tell that with the first single that came out, No Windows, No Doors, because it's just, as I said, some 1980s feel to it, and it's dope. So speaking of that, which track from 999 are you most thrilled to debut live in your performances when you're on tour soon?
I think we have a Nightmare Before Christmas song about the mayor called The Mayor's Head, right? And that
That's
song is
dope.
awesome because I play the happy, like the politician who's kind of conniving and like puts on a happy face, and then the head spins. It's kind of like the sound effects were inspired by like the crank in the riddle box. His head spins, and then Schaffer's like the dark Machiavellian person. I love that song a lot. What do you think, Mark?
I think that song's going to be a lot of fun to play live. I'm very happy with that one too. And the other song that I'm also really excited to perform live is the Pleasure Island song, which is about a very, very dark sort of side quest in Pinocchio, where a menacing man steals young boys off the streets and takes them to an island, lets them drink and use drugs and fight and party and shoot pool and break stuff, and then without any explanation, they're all turned into donkeys and sold as livestock.
And dude, I say that scene was terrifying when his friend turns into a donkey. Dude, It was just like, what the fuck?
I watched that movie so many times this summer working on that song, but that one, it's a song that's just about that element of it. It's not about Pinocchio at all or Geppetto. It's just about that terrifying nightmare side mission from Pinocchio. I'm excited to play that one live because it's like a pirate sea shanty, and I think it'll be fun to pretend we're on a boat.
You guys think you'll bring like more theatrical elements to the live set for that album? Like, I don't know, like the stage show being more spooky looking, or maybe some more props from like paper mache Disney characters or something. I don't know.
I mean, I want to do more like projections behind us because there's so much great stuff you can chop, and I really like how like the Suicide Boys and Ghostman and all those rappers do like the 1920s. Yeah. Good person. We want to thank you for having us on your interview.
Oh yeah, you're welcome, man. And then
you got good morals.
You got a great shirt too.
Oh yeah, this shirt. It's
Lazy and Crazy.
Yes, he creates this like 1930s like that famous 1930s artist Max Fleischer. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He did like the old school Superman cartoons and like really weird like over the top fantasy cartoons. I'll have to link you, man. Like there's this one where like there's this bear that's running away from Jack Frost and like because he doesn't want to go home, and then like I don't know, it's just the drawings of it, man. It's just really cool. I'll have to link you all the stuff. But he does his 1930s like style, but he mixes it with like modern pop culture, and he calls his brand Lazy and Crazy. But he's also a producer. He does a lot of producing as with Devereaux, and they do.
And doesn't he do some stuff on Bloody Sunday, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes. So
I'm gonna start crying.
It's Shaggy the Airhead. Shaggy the Airhead. This is his clothing line. But yeah.
And he was one of the judges in the graffiti contest at the gathering.
No, man, he does great production, and he's got his own clothing line, and like the clothing line. This is really comfortable because it's like it's made for like outdoor when it's like really hot, but it's just so comfortable. You can wear it like all time of year, dude. Like this is where I wear when I go to music festivals because it like soaks up the sun rays. But
just like your soul soaks up the sun rays and gives them back, Chad. And we want to thank you for having us on.
Yeah, you're welcome. I got one more question. What's next for both MC Lars and Schaffer the Darklord after the release of 999? What's all going on with your solo careers?
That is such a sweet professional question, Chad.
I'm probably going to team up with my producer friend from Baltimore, Vince Vandal. We have a project. We did an album in 2018 where we collaborated and had a bunch of guests, and it was instead of saying it was Schaffer the Darklord, produced by Vince Vandal, we gave ourselves a group name and called it the Department of Darkness. We had MC Lars on one of the tracks on that album. But Vince has been itching to do another one, so I think my next project is the next Department of Darkness album.
I'm pretty sure I own the original one. Yes, I do, because you put it on a
USB.
Yes, it looks like
Yeah.
a credit card thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have that.
So following up Disney with a bunch of really angry political raps.
Hey, you got you. That's the thing about you guys' styles. You guys dive into whatever you feel like talking about, and like I know MC Lars has gotten political because he jumped in with the track with Ill Bill where they're talking about their favorite metal songs, but then they got into like stuff that bothered them. Like I know that you mentioned the war in Iraq on that track with Ill Bill, MC Lars.
Yeah, you good memory.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You caught that.
Yeah.
That's tight, Chad.
So what's next for MC Lars? And Schaffer the Darklord just gave us a great response on what he plans on dropping after 999.
I can't wait to do some shows with Schaffer the Darklord. Then I'm making an album about the Odyssey and the Iliad with Cowboy Coder, and I'll be refreshing that Fago Lovers flavor for those Chad Karsten interviews.
Oh, I appreciate that, Lars. Thank you greatly, man. You guys both have some great content in store, especially with Schaffer. It said, another Darkness album, the collaboration, and then you also said you were going to get some political content as well, so that should be interesting. But Lars and
What's your Chad? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
What song of Schaffer sounds the most like a Juggalo song?
The sex song, the one,
Yeah,
the one that wants to have sex with everyone. Yeah, I don't know. It reminded me of something from like a Great Malenko era or something. But
what song of his sounds most like a Twisted song?
this is a weird game show to be on all of a sudden.
Right. For real,
the Tin Man, the Tin Man.
That works.
That's a tough question. I'm trying to think.
Lars, when are you dropping your Juggalo record where you're gonna swear and do really violent rhymes?
It's coming out next week. It's called Blaze, You Alive, Homie. No, I'm kidding. Blaze should do a live record called Blaze, live album.
You did make a Halloween album with Mega Rand about it was all like Roman based and stuff.
Yeah. Dewey Decibel.
Yeah, that's what it was. Well,
what's the best Mega Rand album?
Well, to answer your question first about Schaffer the Darklord and Twisted, I'd have to go with most likely Supervillain because those guys are really into comic book nerdy stuff, so it would fit well with Twisted.
But what if he did a guest verse on Supervillains with Isham and Mr. Hart, Laval?
Well, yeah, that too. You got a point, but like Twisted always dresses up as Batman and Robin, so that's why I think it's Supervillain.
Do you still live in Florida?
Yes, I do. So that's Twisted, why I'm always.
Do they come on tour down there?
Yeah, and here's the thing. I always feel bad because like I always catch when you're all four out here, when it's always MC Lars, MC Frontalot, Mega Ran, Schaffer the Darklord. Like I'm always at that show, but then when you guys do like a solo one, I'm always like busy working or something. I don't get to catch the solo ones. I know Schaffer's been here a few times. I've been not, and I apologize. I haven't been able to make it. But
all right,
I've seen him. I've seen you plenty of times with MC Lars, but never like on a solo run.
Has ABK do solo stuff?
He does.
Did he leave Psychopathic?
Yeah. Well, they didn't like explain exactly what occurred there. There was just some random interview where they were like, it was for like ICP's Patreon, and they said, and they confirmed with whoever they were doing the interview with, I forget at the time, but they had said that the only artists on Psychopathic right now are ICP and Ouija Mac. They even said Big Hoo left. So it's just ICP and Ouija back at the moment. And then we'll just see what occurs after that.
Chad, what happened with Ouija Mac and Shaggy and the Creep and all that?
Dude, that is another mystery. Just one day there was an announcement that they were going their own ways, and they haven't really explained what went on there. There's some like,
Why? They're all such good friends.
I know there's some rumors, but I don't want to get into that rumor
Me
stuff.
neither. But what happened with the photo? Like it was like a photo of Ouija Mac posted. It was like something like that no one got credit for.
Something to do with
I don't know. We just typed
something
up.
tied with a close friend of Keegan, who actually is a great photographer. His name's Josh Ulrich. He's a very good photographer. Ran into him a few times, but something to do with something like that. But I'm not sure if that was a full reason. There could have been other stuff, and that's what I'm saying. I don't like getting into all that because like I wasn't part of the situation, so I don't want to just like throw random. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But yeah, but hey, I'm really looking forward to the 999 album. It's gonna be great. I like the no windows, no doors. It's very over the top theatrical track, obviously inspired by the Haunted Mansion. But I just like the fact you guys are going into the occult way. Like, well, listen, a lot of the occult Disney stuff is like overlooked. Like, even their like live action, horror stuff is overlooked too. Like, I'm trying to think here, The Witch in the Wood or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Man, there's people who are like scared of that movie. It's like
Mhm.
it's
Is it a
crazy.
true story?
I don't think so.
No,
Oh, the Blair Witch you're talking about.
No, no,
no,
you
no.
no.
It's
Oh,
it
the
came out
Jordan
like
Baker movie, Witches in the Woods. Yeah.
yeah, like it's a '70s movie, right? Am I mistaken?
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, well,
wait, is it real? Wait, I can't find it.
wait, are you looking for it right now?
Yeah. Is it a Disney movie? Is
I'm
it a
pretty
Disney
sure.
movie? The Watcher in the Woods.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yes, okay. It's supposed to be a really creepy film, and people are like scared of it, and like,
Have you ever seen it, Schaefer?
I know about it. I can remember like I probably saw it as a kid, but didn't like retain it because I can recognize the cast in my head. I know I've seen it in some capacity.
yeah, that you guys should definitely check that out. I mean, I've seen like the trailer, but like, I plan on watching it myself fully. But there's people who are like they talk about like in those threads or like which movie scared you, blah blah blah, and people talk about that movie, and I think it's crazy because it's like it's rated PG and it's a Disney movie, and I'm like,
Yeah. They did some pretty scary stuff back in the 60s and 70s.
well, I know PG is different from because I mean Jaws, what's the Jaws like PG or some crap like that?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Jaws. Oh boy. Speaking of Richard Dreyfuss, this has been a close encounter with a real great guy, Chad Karsten, Fago lovers.
Yeah, that was
Well, I think we're just having internet trouble again. Anyway,
What's that?
oh, there we go. Wait, there
okay,
we go.
we were
Lars,
departing.
stop.
What's that painting behind you?
Oh, the painting? It's actually a Pac-Man painting with a ghost. I can kind of stream in for it. You can kind of see it.
How'd you find that? Oh, that's tight.
You can see it pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. I found that randomly at this thrift store I work at. Like it was just there, and we had to wait for stuff to not sell to be able to buy it. You know what I mean? We had to like wait. We couldn't. It was like you couldn't. It was it was like a respect thing. You couldn't just buy stuff as soon as it came in. Like you had to let the customers at least get a chance. But no one was picking it up, so then I just bought it.
It's
Nice.
like when I get that new fake, when I see that new Fago lovers post, I gotta grab that quick.
Right. But yeah.
Deuces.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you too for doing what you do, and I appreciate you guys' music. And
You're a great interviewer.
I hope
Thank you.
see you again at the Geek Easy, and hopefully, I want to catch everybody when they come down on their own. Like I said, everybody keep a lookout for the 999 album as they're diving into the occult and of the Disney realm, which doesn't get explored much because everybody thinks Disney is either Winnie the Pooh or Pixar related, but they don't realize there's the Black Cauldron or stuff
Witch of the Woods.
yeah. All right.
Watch in the woods.
Yes, the watchman was. Yes, I had to touch on. But yes, have a great night, you two, and
Thanks, Chad.
talking to you again. Thank you.
You're a good person. Peace.
Take
Love
care.
you. Bye.